Josephine.
Probably didn't know it was Wednesday, Tuesday. They're in the freezer. Heard that? Do you need to start with my name first?
Huh?
How do we?
Just start talking.
Okay.
I announced it.
I'm Sarah McCree Hickman. I come here today to talk about an incident that happened last week with my 15-year-old son. Where the town foreman stopped and pretty much, in a way, was trying to intimidate my 15-year-old, and that's how he took it. My concern is I don't understand why instead when you see a young man or a young female doing right, as much as bad we have going on with a lot of the kids in town, kids coming from Western Port, kids in our own town that are being rude, very destructive towards private property and everything else. When you see a young man that's actually doing good, why stop and try to intimidate them instead of trying to say good job and say, hey buddy, while we're out here plowing, can you make sure, if you get any snow on the street, can you clean it up for us, or this, or anything else like that. And on top of that, my son is 15, he's not 18, he is underage. And for an adult to stop and make him feel like he did something wrong when he wasn't doing nothing wrong, but trying to help an older lady out that he's been helping out since the snow started. Now it's to where my son, that day, he ended up coming home and didn't even want to go to any of the other houses that he normally helps the people with. He doesn't even really go around and charge anybody. They'll ask him and he'll be like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm just do it because for him, that's helping him. And he's a good kid. For anyone that does know my son, he doesn't run the streets. Very rarely you see him on his bike or his skateboard. He uses his manners. And it's just, instead of bringing down the good kids, why aren't they trying to lift them up?
What happened? I don't know
Well,
anything about it.
can I interrupt?
Maybe I ask her a question.
My son came home
Okay. I didn't know.
and was like, one of the town guys stopped at the house, stopped me. I was like, okay, why? I was just asking, what were you doing wrong? That's my first thing. Because my son's not perfect by far.
Yeah.
He's 15, he's a teenager. He's like, he stopped and he's sitting there started telling me, oh, it's illegal for you to throw snow in the road. You gotta do this, that, da, 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 da. And he's like, Mom, all I was trying to do is, I already got her sidewalk done. I did this. I was just trying to clean her car off and clean around her car so if she needed to leave, she can leave. And I was like, and then he's like this, and he told me there was other people out that did witness them stop and start talking. And did tell me from my son's face that it wasn't a good conversation. That was being, the way my son was being talked, because he's like, Mom, I was confused. He's like, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And I asked him, I was like, who was it? Because he knows pretty much the majority. He's like, that new guy that's been around, I guess he's the boss or something. Or I'm like, okay, describe him. And he told me, and he described the town foreman. He described Ernie. And to me, it's just, he's 15. If he was doing something wrong, I'm the adult. I'm his mother. You know where at. All you gotta do is ask, whose son is this, or where do you live? And he would have told you. I was home. Could come tell me, because trust me, I got him onto him about it. But after that day, he didn't want to go back out and help nobody else. He just wanted to stay home.
Okay. Now what did you have to say?
Well, like I said, I'm Ernie's boss, you could say, okay? And I know the situation, I know what happened, okay? And I talked with Rick, I talked with T.I., both of them, and they said there was not so much as an argument between either one of the two, okay? I believe it was a misunderstanding because we are trying to enforce some of our ordinances, and one of them is you don't put the snow in the road, okay, to be removed by the town. That you're supposed to pile up. Now, if we can, we'll come by and remove it. Myself, as your husband well knows, okay? Okay? We try to go a step further sometimes. These last few storms, we have really been trying to do a good job in trying to keep up what we can.
And you guys did do an awesome job trying to keep
And I
up.
thank you for
As
helping
much
too.
as it was
But
coming down.
Actually, I think it may have been a little more of a misunderstanding because, like I said, Ernie is a little hard to
Well, my
talk with and
thing
understand.
is, there is a witness
Well, I
and
have,
several other people
you know,
that lives here in this town
Right.
that was outside with their
I
children
understand that too.
and watched it
I
happen.
haven't talked with them, but I have talked with Rick and T.I. both. And both of them, pretty much, they told me that it was really a big misunderstanding more than anything. Now, they're not here, but if you wish, you can go down tomorrow and they will be here. Okay, this is what I'm understanding.
Well,
Now, I know the lady who's showing out for Gwen, okay, and I didn't really get anything out of her on more other than a possibly misunderstanding, okay? Now, I know all these people in this town pretty much, and I can't say that Ernie might not have gotten a little maybe out of hand, something maybe, it's a possibility, okay? Because I've had a couple other people ask me, why the change? Well, we put the salt down and we come
but
back
that's not my
and the salt's gone.
concern. My
Right.
concern is
Well, what I
the
understand,
way
your
you
son,
talk to a child
well,
that is doing good.
well, I got the same thing from two other older adults in the
Well,
town.
yeah, I
Okay,
know that I have their
Was asked
statements.
the same way to not push the snow across the road. And so like I said, we're trying to deal with that. But once we put the salt down, now before you put the salt down, I don't have a problem with it. But once that salt goes down, that's...
See it?
But
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying too, but the whole thing stems around your son was putting snow in the road, okay? That's what I'm understanding. He was asked to let people know, don't put the snow in the road. So, I apologize for the way you spoke.
Look,
to-
I'm not the one that needs to be
Okay,
apologized.
But,
That's how I feel.
I can't say exactly what happened there. All I know is I've talked to the two other workers that apparently was with him at the time, and
Well, see, I find that funny because T.I. was questioned about it if he was there. And T.I. told us no, that he had no clue. That it was just Rick driving Ernie around.
yeah, well, I talked with Rick and Ernie, and, well, actually, the other day when Ernie left, I talked with Rick and Tiara in the garage and asked them what happened. And both of them told me what happened. Nothing, Rick, nothing really happened. I mean, when we come up around the corner, he would took a shovel full of snow, threw it out in the road. Ernie said, stop, I want to tell you to quit throwing snow in the road. And that's what I was told by both of them. So if you,
Okay, how about we just stop
Yeah.
right here and say that we will have a talk.
we
with-
will deal with this, okay?
Yeah, and my concern is, like I said, my son,
Well,
all he had to do is let my son know, hey buddy, can't be doing that, can you clean it
Somewhere
up?
else,
And
yeah.
he,
my son does do a lot of work in
oh, I know,
those
I
yards
know,
and do
Gwen
stuff for
talked very
people.
high of him. I don't get all of them, but like I said, the issue was the snow being thrown in the road.
And my concern is,
And now your
Well, wait a
concern
minute,
is the way you
hold
spoke to
it
her,
Discuss-
so, but,
This went about far enough.
underage.
right.
There's another thing too. I mean, you get behind the wheel with that snowplow and run it for 12 hours a day and see if your temper ain't a little bit flared.
But my husband did it for
Well,
many
what do
years
you
in
think,
Indianapolis.
It tends to happen.
Well,
And like
that's what I think. It
And
just
like
happened.
I discussed with Ernie and T.I. and everybody, I told them I've plowed snow for years. You can't, you can put your blade all the way one way and it doesn't always go to the way you want it to go. You push it all the way to the left, it eventually falls out of the right side of the blade because there's nothing you can do with it.
Okay, well, we'll take all this into consideration and we will see try to investigate this a little further, but you had your 5 minutes.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, next thing up, minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
All in favor?
Jamie's
Anyone opposed? Okay. Accept the minutes from the previous meeting. Next thing down is correspondence. Anyone got any correspondence besides me? The only thing I have is a bill that we received from the CSX Railroad, and I don't feel that this is a good invoice. The railroad said they was gonna try to help us out when this landslide happened and watch the railroad. Well, they did, but they also helped us out by sending us a $3,030 bill. So I am going to call Jacksonville tomorrow and find out if this is their way of helping everybody. You know, this was supposed to have been a joint project and nothing happened down there, but the railroad had a flagman there. But they had a flagman there to secure their train track. So, you know, it's a give and take situation, to my opinion, in this kind of a situation. You help me, I help you, but you don't send me a $3,000 bill for helping me. Okay, that's all I have on correspondence. Anybody else got anything? Oh, other than the fact that I think Paula read this last night. From 6:30 to 8:30 tomorrow afternoon, there's an embezzlement meeting going on at the Davis Center in Kaiser. And anyone that's interested in it is welcome to come. It's an open forum meeting. And I am going to be there, and I think a few of you guys are going to be there also. So I'm kind of anxious to see what this is all about. Okay, that's about it for me. Officers' reports. Start with you, Paul.
I don't have nothing.
Susie? Rick?
No, other than, Ernie, trying to keep up on things the best you can. You know, I mean, Ernie, you got anything?
Nothing really, except we'll be filing a claim for Tim's storage building.
Well, the wind just took down a good bit of stuff around here. It tore my grandkids' jungle gym apart.
Yeah. Son's Christmas tree back there.
Could take his building down?
It destroyed it.
Okay.
I just think Tim can't drive.
All right, Ricky, did you have anything?
No.
Dawn? No, that's pretty sweet. Police reports.
This month's been pretty good traffic-wise. One day we had well over 10 citations, just in one day due to various violations. It was also going on while the workers were on the road. So every time we made sure to really hit people up when that was going on. And proud to announce today we also got more narcotics and paraphernalia, more drugs off the street, real easy, and it's pretty good. It's been a good month after considering January's been a pretty slow month for us overall. But with all the weather and everything, not able to do much. But besides that, it's been pretty smooth, everything.
Okay. All right. Since everyone else has had their chance, I'll give a report on the sewage system here. We've got the pipe intact. All the sewage is flowing in the right direction. And we've got a geotech engineer in there right now. They've already drilled one hole to get core samples. And what these core samples are is a determination of what the strata is below it. And we have this geological engineer that's going to be drilling more holes, and the way they fix this is all determined by these core samples and what kind of rock it's going to hit and how low it is. The next thing is that the stabilization of the thing is going to depend on the core samples. So what kind of rock is below it and how they do it. They're going to do it in three three different ways from what we're determining so far is the fact that they're gonna put some pilings in through the core drilling way and insert some sort of stuff into the holes that'll glue the rocks together in the formation, depending on, again, these core samples ain't been back yet.
Is that gonna seep through the cracks of the liquid, like a liquid?
It seeps through as a liquid, becomes solid like a glue,
Right.
and glues all the formations together. The strata of the rock and stuff, if it's cracking and shit, it'll glue them together. They use this system in the mining industry quite often when they have bad roof. But I've never seen it used out in this kind of light before, but it does work, and it's good for a hydro seal of any kind, even if there's water running through it.
Yeah, because that's what I was wondering, down here on the West Virginia side where it's given away. I think that's what happened, is they put that in there and they didn't put nothing in there to seal that. And that's why it's coming out there.
Well, it could be.
Down there where the screen's at, it's pulled 3/4 of the screen down out of that corner.
But anyhow, I'd like to thank Mr. Mike Todorovich from the
How do you spell that?
TODROVICH. I've been calling him enough that I know how to spell it.
And he's from what?
He's from the department, he's the head of Homeland Security Emergency Management. And again to our Senator, Mr. Randy Smith, who hooked me up with a lot of these contacts in Charleston. So that's about all I have. Okay, moving on to unfinished business. Cross-connection backflow control ordinances, third reading. And as we discussed about this before, you'll see in there that we have an obligation to protect our water source, and this is part of the way we have to do it.
Okay.
Carry on, Ms. Boggs.
Cross-connection and backflow control ordinance for the city of Piedmont. The purpose is to protect the public potable water supply served by the city of Piedmont Waterworks from the possibility of contamination or pollution by isolating within its customers' internal distribution system such contaminants or pollutants which could backflow or back-siphon into public water system. To promote the elimination of or control of existing cross connections, actual or potential, between its customers and plant potable water systems. To provide for the maintenance of a continuing program of cross-connection control which will effectively prevent the contamination or pollution of all potable water systems by cross-connection. The water purveyor will operate a cross-connection control program to include the keeping of necessary records which fulfills the requirements of the WVPH, which is the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health. The owner shall allow his property to be inspected for possible cross connections and shall follow the provisions of the water purveyors program and the Bureau of Public Health regulations if a cross connection is permitted. If the water purveyor requires that the public supply be protected by contaminant, the owner shall be responsible for water quality beyond the outlet end of the contaminant device and should utilize fixture outlet protection for that purpose. He may utilize public health officials or personnel from the water purveyor or their designated representatives to assist him in the survey of its facilities and to assist him in the selection of proper fixture outlet devices and the proper installation of these devices. On new installations, the water purveyor will provide on-site evaluation and or inspection of plans in order to determine the type of backflow preventer, if any, that will be required, and will perform inspection and testing for premises existing prior to the start of this program. The water purveyor will perform evaluations and inspections of plans and premises and inform the owner by letter of any corrective actions deemed necessary, the method of achieving the correction, and the time allowed for the correction to be made. Ordinarily, 90 days will be allowed. However, this time period may be shortened depending on the degree of hazard involved and the history of the device in question. The water purveyor will not allow any cross connection to remain unless it is protected by an approved backflow preventer, which will be regularly tested to ensure satisfactory operations. The water purveyor shall inform the owner by letter of any failure to comply by the time of the first reinspection. The purveyor will allow an additional 15 days for the correction in the event that the owner fails to comply with the necessary correction by the time of the second reinspection. The water purveyor will inform the owner by letter that the water service to the owner's premises will be terminated within a period not to exceed 5 days. In the event that the owner informs the water purveyor of extenuating circumstances as to why the correction has not been made, a time extension may be granted by the water purveyor, but in no case will exceed an additional 30 days. If the water purveyor determines at any time that a service threat to the public health exists, the water service will be terminated immediately. The purveyor will begin initial premise inspections to determine the nature of existing or potential hazards. Initial focus will be on high hazard industries and commercial premises. The owner shall be responsible for the elimination or protection of all cross connections on his premises. The owner, after having been informed by a letter from the water purveyor, shall at his expense install, maintain, and test or have tested. The owner shall correct any malfunction of the backflow preventer which is revealed by periodic testing. The owner shall inform the purveyor of any proposed or modified cross connection and also any existing cross connections of which the owner is aware but have not been found by the water purveyor. The owner shall not install a bypass around any backflow preventer unless there is a backflow preventer of the same type on the bypass. Owners who cannot shut down operations for testing of these devices must supply additional devices necessary to allow testing to take place. The owner shall install backflow preventers in a manner approved by the water purveyor. The owner shall install only backflow preventers approved by the water purveyor or the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health. Any owner having a private well or other private water source must have the approval of the water purveyor and the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health if the well or source is cross-connected to the water purveyor's system. Permission to cross-connect may be denied. The owner may be required to install a backflow preventer at the service entrance if a private water source is maintained, even if it is not cross-connected to the water purveyor's system. In the event the owner installs plumbing to provide potable water for domestic purposes, which is on the water purveyor's side of the backflow preventer, such plumbing must have its own backflow preventer installed. The owner shall be responsible for the payment of all fees for permits, annual and semi-annual device testing, retesting in the case that the device fails to operate correctly, and second reinspection for non-compliance with the water purveyor or the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health requirements. Upon request, the water purveyor will submit records of inspection, surveys, tests, or corrective action to the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health.
Thank you. And the reason for this reading is to be able to support an ordinance so we can enforce this backflow thing. And also everything the ordinance is saying there is going to be part of the ordinance just as Paula read it, and allow us to do inspections on this and to see that it is installed. And the time limits on there are more than fair. A lot of people were saying it's an immediate thing. We're giving them more or less 90 days to do it. So I see no problem in passing this ordinance. So
I make a motion to approve the third reading of the cross-connection backflow control ordinance.
all in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, third reading of the ordinance has been done. Okay, second thing on the agenda is setting up housing inspection programs and contracting with certified inspectors.
We're still waiting on most of the paperwork to come over from Charleston, so once we have that, we'll just put it back on the agenda instead of table, and it will just drop it for now. Till we get everything.
We're gonna just drop it and put it on the agenda as needed.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, new business, or just new business. Meeting for ballot positions. Oh,
We have to meet on March 4th, which day is that, on
Monday.
a Monday? And that is just to pull for ballot position for the election.
you mean us here in the council has to meet, or the people on the ballot positions?
People in that.
I guess everybody that's on the ballot that has to be here. Because it's not in alphabetical order, they're not they're in a position, drawn here, and the day it has to be drawn is March 4th.
What time?
We have to set a time for that. What's good for you?
Anytime for me,
Get off work till
March
5:30.
fourth, March fourth, what is it?
Monday.
Let's say 6 o'clock. Work for you?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing of it is that people, this meeting's actually for the ballot people that are gonna get positions on the,
Yeah, so we don't have to have an actual meeting, we just meet
No.
here and draw.
Yeah, we just gotta,
so,
well, it's not us that's drawn, somebody's like said, I thought somebody in the office would draw, but I don't know who actually draws it, but.
well, if needed, I can come, but, if, someone else wants to, I guess what it is just the positions that
Yeah,
there's
it's
placed
just-
on the
yeah.
ballot.
You just put all the names of all the
Yeah.
people in a thing and
Pull 'em out.
pull them out.
Yeah.
First on the ballot, second on the
That's
ballot.
who's running though, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you don't put them in alphabetical order. But some people say that people walk in to vote, they always hit the first person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't go through stuff. And it just, it's
Well,
not put in alphabetical order, it's just a pool to give Bob like the positions so he can type up the ballots. So what did we say, March 4th at what?
March 4th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And, how long does this generally take? Just,
5 minutes,
If that much.
just long enough, like I said, just to pull the names out of a hat.
okay, the next thing, is that closed, no more discussion?
That's it.
Next thing is budget meetings. Since we're having a ballot meeting, we have a budget meeting
We could do that.
at 6:05.
Is that when we were supposed to start it,
Six
on the
fifteen.
4th, is that what they
Was
told
the
us?
second, wasn't
Okay,
it? Sometime after the second?
okay.
Is that not right?
It was the 2nd or the 4th, but either way that we would, we were in the time frame.
Yeah,
I just gotta make sure Carrie has the figures from the courthouse,
okay.
but we can still do the different areas, get that out of the way. Yes, why don't we could do that,
All
kill
right.
2 birds with 1 stone.
Sounds good to me.
Bring, okay.
Okay.
Have an idea of what you need for your department,
It's not if I'm not here for the.
you don't have to be here. It's just something that's gotta be done.
I have to work.
This is just gonna be a work session.
No, I mean for the ballot thing too.
No, like I said, it's just, somebody has to be here to pull it out.
What about Paul? Is he gonna be able to be here on March fourth? We'll have to find out.
We'll give him a call and tell him we're doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, we usually have like 3 meetings for the budget, don't we?
Yeah.
You figure out what you're wanting for your department, get everything together, then the last one is to
Is
finalize
there
it.
any way that we can up our budget for the town?
We ain't got no more money.
We gotta see what our number, see how much money's coming in.
Can't we do something with the state to try to get it, a
Well,
little extra or
Don't
something?
work that way.
Rick, I've been going after everybody I know to try to help us with everything. If you can do better, have at it.
Well, I wasn't too sure.
Like I said, the budget we set is, we get what's coming in, an estimate of what's coming in,
Yeah,
and that total, we have to match it with.
yeah.
So
That's-
we can see what we didn't use. Carrie's supposed to be working on something for me to see what actually we used in each part, to up one,
Okay.
down one, you know what I mean?
All right, yeah.
So that's what we'll be working at for that too.
Well, I didn't know if we could manage something to the state to see about getting something extra, a little extra each year or something, you know, to help us out on it, you know.
Good luck with
Yeah,
Alright.
they're not
I
very
just
kind.
don't know, my sister says he's got more money than what China's got right, she's
Who?
sitting in the contingency fund,
that. Who does?
the governor. Well, he's been handed down for quite a while on this contingency fund.
Well, Rick, you have to look at some of the things that's been going on in the state this year. You know, we're not the only
Oh,
ones
I
with problems. And the contingency fund, it only has like $10 million in it. You take 55 counties out of the state of West Virginia and divide that up. $10 million sounds like a lot of money,
Yeah, it does.
but take 55 counties in the state, and then all the municipalities, which is 323 that's in the state of West Virginia. You put all that together and take all their little whims and see where that 10 million goes to.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not, and you know, I've been meeting with these people from the governor's office on a frequent basis here in the, I mean, I know them all by their first names. The money that they have to put it out there on a need to have basis, and
Well, we need to have it.
okay.
Mhm.
I mean, we really need to have it, you know.
Yep, we do need it, but I've been expressing that concern for quite a while, but,
We luckily got the money for the, is that where it came from for the slide? Because it,
Yeah.
but that's probably gonna take away from the Pearl Street, isn't it?
well, that has yet to be seen.
Oh, excuse me. We're hoping that,
Or hoping not.
yeah,
We're hoping that it didn't, but,
right.
I got a good idea that it might. But then this geologist, this geotech, could be helping us out in both perspectives. Since they're here, I have to get the blessing from the governor's office, which I didn't get yet. But I've been working on that almost all day today. That while he's in this way, he could test drill there and also make an engineering report. And with the engineering report, it would put out some sort of a budget that's required to fix that area also. And that weighs a lot on these guys, is having all your ducks in a row and know what it's gonna cost you and have them set a limit on saying, this is what you're gonna get to fix it with. Where you go with it is on you. And one of the bigger things is to have all that down in black and white and have the figures in there and dot all your T's and cross all your I's.
Been a long time, been a long week, Dave.
No, I meant it to say it that way. All right, so we got the budget meeting set for
March 4th,
March 4th also.
immediately following the ballot position.
Yeah, that would be more sensible if we're gonna be here anyway. Okay, next meeting, March 13th, 2019.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,